Well, hello there. Welcome to another Hidden Woman Within video. If this is your first time in, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you know when I upload a video. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel and give it a thumbs up. It helps the algorithm of the channel. So I hope everybody is doing well. I am actually at the tail end of recovering from being tempted with sinus issues. I had a really bad cold. My children, so if you hear me cough, excuse me, because sometimes if I'm talking too much, I can feel it coming up. So if I hesitate, I'm trying not to cough. So September, my kids and I went on a cruise. My oldest daughter and her husband, my youngest son and his family, my youngest daughter and her oldest son, and myself. We went to the Bahamas. My daughter and I, we have been on cruises before. This is my second, and I'm not sure how many, excuse me, how many my youngest daughter has been on. But anyway, we went to the Bahamas. It's an annual family get-together. We had a good time. We went on Carnival, and this is kind of what's bringing me to my topic for today. And the very first time I went on a cruise was 7 years ago, and I went to Cozumel. I absolutely enjoyed it. It was when my house had flooded. I needed that downtime so I can kind of get my head together, find out what my plan is for when I get back, and how do I start restoration, or what my next steps were going to be to get the house back together. And I went by myself. A few of my cousins, we were supposed to go to celebrate my birthday, but kind of toward the end where it was getting closer to the cruise, for different reasons, they weren't able to make it. So I went by myself. First cruise ever. Absolutely loved it. Loved it. Of course, I had different people telling me that, oh, make sure you take Dramamine because you'll probably get seasick, and do this and do that, and this might happen. And I was like, okay. So I did take some Dramamine with me, but I had so much advice of what to do and what not to do from people that had been on a cruise before. And so, like we do a lot, they assumed their experience was going to be my experience, but it wasn't. But I listened to what they had to say, so I bought some Dramamine. So anyway, this particular cruise was one that's making me rethink about using this particular cruise line. I actually saw more skin than I ever wanted to see in my life. And I was told after I got back, well, Carnival Cruise is considered the party cruise line. And I said, okay, I didn't know that. And then I had an officer at church the other day tell me that once a year, Carnival Cruise Line, now I don't know if this is true, I'm just repeating what was told to me, that they have an annual nude cruise. I said, okay, I have to make sure that I don't mess around and get a ticket for that for that cruise. So anyway, I enjoyed the cruise because I had time with my children and my grandchildren. So getting back to what I said about, the skin, there were young children all over the cruise ship because I guess this was like a family cruise. And there was little babies in strollers. There was toddlers. There was, kids 9, 10, teenagers. Everybody was on this cruise ship. There were older people. So it was just a myriad of different age groups on the ship. And so I was quite taken back because this wasn't my experience the last time I went on a cruise, that people were just dressing. No, they weren't dressing. It's like they were wearing less and less and less. And to the point, my thing was, well, Maybe that's why Carnival Cruise has an annual nude trip or something. I don't know. But anyway, my son and I had a conversation about it. He was like, yeah, Mom, he's a young man. He's 42. And he was like, yeah, Mom, I wasn't happy with that myself. And so with all of that being said, when I got back home, I questioned myself and said, why does that bother me so much? Why did seeing what I saw bother me to the level that it made me uncomfortable? What was that all about? So at that point, I had to do some self-examination. And, I kind of got in the Word a little bit and, thought about some things about myself and was really asking, why does that really bother me? And then I had to consider this. A lot of times we expect people to be like us, or we expect them to be a certain way in a certain situation. Well, sometimes those expectations can lead to disappointment. I remember years ago, I had a little dinner with my kids, and I told them, I said, well, this is all about no expectations, no disappointments. So you don't expect anything from me, then you won't be disappointed. They were grown then, so they, when they were little, they were expecting me to put food on the table, expecting me to pay the bills. So that's what I did. And some days they might have been disappointed I came home with no lights on when I was a single parent. But for the most part, we expect people to be like us. And when they're not, we just, So then I went a little deeper into my thought about that. And I said, let me, there's always a story. And I probably recently told this story. I don't remember, but I know that I did tell the story that some years ago, I brought a kitten into my home, and I'm not a huge animal person. I do like dogs. I do like cats, but cuteness costs money. And I'm in a place in my life right now when I want to get up and go. I want to get up and go. I don't want to have to be concerned about who's going to watch the dog. And I'm not doing that. I'm over that. I'm over that. But don't want to see them mistreated. So anyway, this kitten came to live in my home. And I was married at the time. So my husband said, you are bringing a cat home? And I said, well, it's a kitten. He's the same thing. Kitten hid from me for 3 days. Well, it didn't take her long to get acclimated to her new environment. And when she did, excuse me, y'all. When she did, her natural instincts, as she began to get older, started to kick in. She started to climbing. Climbed up in my kitchen sink. She got on my dining room table. She was on my kitchen counter. I said, strike 3, you got to go. So there wasn't anything that I could do to keep her from climbing. My oldest daughter told me, she said, Mom, just get a spray bottle with some water and spray it, and she won't get up there. She won't do it while I'm home, or while that spray bottle's probably visible. But when I'm not home, guess what she gonna do? And then guess what I got to do? I got to be cleaning all the time because, I don't do that. So what I learned was the nature of the cat. So we can't expect the cat not to climb if it's in his nature to climb. We can't expect the dog not to bark if it's in his nature not to bark. We can't expect a sinner not to sin if that's their nature. So these expectations of wanting people to be like us is unrealistic. Then I went a little deeper in and I began to think about why some of us do the things that we do. Where did it come from? And I remember I didn't grow up in the house with my dad, but when I was younger, my father would come and get me a couple times out the month and take me, I went to his house for the weekend. My stepmom, and she had 4 daughters, so I had 4 stepsisters, and then they had a daughter together, so then I had my sister Charlene. And every Saturday that I went, Saturdays at my father's house was not the time to sleep in. I don't care what time you got up during the week. Saturday was not the day that you were sleeping in. Saturday was cleaning day. So 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, he's calling the girls to get up, to get downstairs because it's cleaning. He never said, Charlotte, you too, let's go. He never said that. But for me, my attitude was, if they're going and I'm here, I need to get up too. And I was, young. And so when, we'd get downstairs and clean, the refrigerator came off the wall, the stove came off. Anything that could be moved got moved. It got cleaned on the bottom of the floor area, on the wall, the appliance itself, and then it got put back into place. When all that stuff got done and all the housework was done, then if you wanted to go lay down, you could. But that came first in his house. And so like I said, I didn't grow up in the house with them, but that became something that I did, something I still do. I do not like a dirty house. My mother, on the other hand, not necessarily she liked a dirty house, but she wasn't as stringent when it came down to that, because my mom was a nurse and she was gone most of the time, because if nurses work 12-hour shifts. She was gone most of the time, and when she wasn't gone, she was sleeping. So guess who cleaned the house? Well, let me say my oldest sister, when my mother got gone, she got gone. And it took me some time, but I learned how to get gone too. So that cleaning thing is just a part of me, and I enjoy. Now, I know some people are like, now you done lost your mind. No, I haven't. I like my stuff nice, neat, clean, organized. It's just got to be that way. Now, is it that way 100% of the time? No, it's not. No, it's not. I live by myself, and I work, but I'm in the process now of simplifying my life. Those were some instructions that I got that I need to simplify. So I've just been getting rid of stuff. And I spent time yesterday. I was off from work and I did a deep clean in my kitchen. And so I zone clean. It's just a 2-bedroom apartment. It's not that big, but I enjoy cleaning. I enjoy the feeling that I get when I'm all done, that I can now sit in a clean apartment. My linens are clean. My kitchen is clean. Everything is just clean. I don't do dishes in the sink. Now, have I ever left home and there was a dish or two in the sink? Yeah, if I had breakfast in the morning and it was time for me to go to work and I'm looking, I'm like, oh wow, and I didn't have time, it didn't get done. But I just got done with breakfast and I just washed my dishes. So that has stuck with me, and it will always be with me. I don't do dirty house or whatever. Now, that to me is normal. Who am I to go to somebody else's house and judge? Oh, because I've done it. I ain't going to tell you that I haven't. I've done it. I'm like, how in the world is anybody living in this place? I used to think sometimes, I'm like, why do I leave my house to go sit in somebody else's house that's ain't like mine, per se. So, but who am I to judge that person's way of life? Because I don't know how they grew up. And if they grew up in a home where that wasn't priority, then the way that they're living, that's their normal. I don't get to say, oh, you nasty, and I'm not supposed to do that. I mean, I have learned and I am learning. I am not telling you that I have arrived. I watched hoarding, and that hoarding stuff, it This thing was moving. The hoarding, it breaks my heart because that's not normal. That's not normal. But people can make some really, really harsh comments about that stuff. And, oh, they're just nasty. And so this is what I'm going to say to, well, let me move a little further because this comment is going to be a blanket comment. Now, I ain't ready to say it yet, but I'm going to say it. You know me, I'm like, yeah, I said it. So, it's really not our place to judge other people. But we all have an opinion. Good, bad, or different. We have an opinion about somebody else's situation. And the question is why? Why are we so concerned about somebody else's business? If we would just get busy about our Father's business, I think we would be so much happier. And just, could just be different toward people. Because actually, what we think about other people causes us to treat them a certain way, whether we realize it or not. I notice within myself that there is I'm not sure if he's homeless. I'm not sure if he's homeless, but I'm dealing with me. I'm not sure if he's homeless, but I speak to this man when I see him, and I'm a hugger, and I normally hug, and he comes to church, and I normally hug. I hug a lot of people, but I am cautious. Because, there are some people, it's just like I just need to shake his hand. And him, I could give him, that hug. But this gentleman, I've never hugged him. And I know it's based on what I'm seeing. I still haven't 100% got my sense of smell back, but it's almost like I can, and that's me. I'm just saying that I'm still dealing with me, and I'm like, Lord, I don't want that to be the case. Everybody at some point in their life needs a hug, and I know that that's part of my ministry. So who am I to look at someone and to assume that they're not huggable, they're not lovable, that they don't need a hug? Getting off track. So I'm really in the same vein. So, social media. Let's talk about that for a minute because my time, I keep looking, I don't like to take up a lot of time. Social media. Now, I'm going to tell you something that I saw on social media the other day. I saw Kirk Franklin. If I can say Kirk Franklin on my video, because everything is all over YouTube and social media anyway. So, Kirk Franklin was doing a live performance somewhere, and I don't have the details about it because it was just on my feed. I was just, and he had on some pants that were a little snug, and he was dancing. And so excuse me. So I went straight to the comments after I watched the video, and they ate him up because while he was dancing, somebody was saying, Kirk, hey, Kirk, like they was trying to get his attention. And the comments were, the Lord is not pleased. And, he going to hell, and just a lot of negative comments. Now, first of all, let me put this biblical truth on the table. We do not, nobody, not one person goes to hell because of their behavior. You don't go to hell because of your actions. You go to hell by choice, by rejecting Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, by not believing in your heart that he is who he is and he did what he did. which he came. He died on the cross and shed his blood. If you don't believe that, and you're just, I don't believe all of that, and you know, okay, and it's your choice not to believe it because we all have a free will. But if you die with that same attitude, then you are eternally separated from God. So then you find yourself in the place called hell. That was not designed for us. It was for the devil and his cohorts. So that is the only way people go to hell. God doesn't send them. They send themselves by rejecting him. Okay? So now that was that truth. And leave me a comment if you disagree, because I got word to back it up. So the comments to me are saying, people, you don't know your word. You don't know the Bible. The scripture says, I think it's in Matthew 22 something, that you do err not knowing the scriptures and the power of God. So, but all of your comments, no, not your comments, but all of the comments were related and based on how he was dressed and what he was doing. So, I'm about to shut it down. The reason it's so easy for us to pass judgment on everybody else is because their stuff is being displayed and we can see it. But you think can't nobody see your stuff, huh? So, here we go with some word again. When they caught the woman and the man in adultery. Now this to me is like, wow. The Bible says caught in the very act. So my question was, well, they wasn't out in the street, in the public place, doing this. They were probably someplace in the back, in the booth, in the dark, in the corner. But how did they get caught? Who saw them? So anyway, and then they brought her. Yeah, there's a whole lot in here. They brought her. Where was old dude at? Where was he at? So they bring her, and they trying to trip Jesus up, basically saying, so now you know what the law is, and so now what you gonna do now? And Jesus just politely bent down and wrote in the sand. He was really ignoring them. He wasn't about to give in. But what his comment was, if you be without sin, then you cast the first stone. If you be without sin, then you cast the first stone. Slowly, I heard a teaching on this that said that the younger people, they were the first one. They knew they was messy, so they dropped their stones and went. But the older, I think the teaching I heard said the older people dropped their stones first because they knew their whole life they was messing up. So he sure right, and so they leave, and then when everything is said and done, the Lord says, "Where are your accusers? Where are your accusers?" And so the point that I'm making is we're so quick to pass judgment on somebody else. What you doing? Because no, we can't see what you're doing and how you doing it and all that kind of stuff unless you just happen to trip up out in public like everybody else. They just out there. But going back to the nature, we don't know if these people are Christians or not. I mean, on the ship, I'm just going to use that as an example. I don't know if any of those people that were half dressed or hardly ever dressed at all, I don't know if they were Christians, but it is sad to say that some of them could have been. But again, this is going into another topic that I had, but I'm just going to drop this in here. But again, some of them could have been Christians, but have not surrendered that part of their life to the Lord yet. Because I know that I'm a born again believer and have been for 30 something years. I'm not bragging on time because I feel like I'm a babe. I'm still learning stuff because the more I get to know Jesus, the more I see me. so I can deal with me, so I can become more like him. So let me stop talking for a second. So it goes back to the nature. No, not the nature. I lost my thought there when I coughed. About surrendering. I've been saved for a long time. Not once, not twice, but 3 times the Lord had to tell me that I have to trust him with my children. And that started, I've been in Texas now for 20 years. That started shortly after I got here. My children were adults way before I left New Jersey. And I still didn't know how to let go of. I don't know. In my mind, I thought maybe I could protect them or shield them from something. I couldn't. It was just me trying to be mom, still trying to be in that protective mode, trying to keep my kids safe, which, when they were younger, they, excuse me, even as they got older, some of them thought that was control. Quick note about that. I was talking to one of my sons the other day, and I said, trust me, if I thought for 1 minute that I could control y'all, nobody would be married. You certainly wouldn't have no kids. You'd be living home in my house that y'all are paying for. Mama would just be getting the hair done, pedicure, manicure, shopping at your expense. Because the opposite was true when you were younger. It was at my expense. And, you don't understand the sacrifices that single parents make for their kids. But then when they get older, all right, I ain't talking about that. Anyway, I had to learn how to let go. And it wasn't anything that I just, okay, I'm done. Mm-mm. It was something that the Lord had to help me through. Now I'm like, love my kids, I do. But sitting up worrying about it, My youngest son was in a car accident some years ago. He fell asleep behind the wheel and ran into the back of an 18-wheeler. And to be honest with you, he shouldn't be here. And my oldest son's first wife, she used to be the one that used to like to run tailette, be the first one. And she did that at 3 o'clock in the morning about that to tell me Dwayne was in a car accident. And she didn't have all the facts. And that bothered me. No, it didn't just bother me. It worried me. And it was, I can't begin to explain. If you're a mom and you got kids, you understand where I'm coming from. You know how that makes you feel when something like that happens. I had no control. I'm in Texas. He's in New Jersey. I couldn't do anything if I wanted to. So then about maybe 25 minutes later, my son called. He said, Ma, I told that girl not to call you. He said, Dwayne is fine. He just, I think he had a cut on his knuckle or something. But the accident, like I said, he shouldn't have been here. He should not have been here. But by the grace of God, he is. And I keep saying he's 43, and he reminds me, Mom, I'm 42. But when he turned 15, he told me he was 16. So then he was like, I'm 16. I said, no, you're 50. Well, I should know. And I'm like, oh, and I shouldn't. Anyway, he reminds me that he's 42 and not 43. So I'm mindful now, but he'll be 43 in January. So now when I go to bed, that ringer is off. The phone isn't turned off, but the ringer's off. Because if there is an emergency at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Because right now I'm in this area by myself. None of my children are within reach for me to get to them in the next 15, 20, 30 minutes, even an hour. So what good does it do me to know at that hour in the morning that there's an emergency? It wouldn't do me any good. But when I get up the next morning, then I can get my bearings together and I could, move forward. So in the morning, when I get up, the first thing I do is check my phone. Not to see, sent me a text. Make sure that there was no emergencies in the middle of the night. And then I begin to thank God, Lord, I thank you that there was no emergencies in the middle of the night. I thank you that we were all blessed, protected, and kept safe while we slept. So that was an area that I had to learn how to surrender to the Lord. So I said all that to say this. There are areas in our lives that we have not completely surrendered to the Lord. If you're a born again believer, if you're not, you still doing your thing. But even, Christians, born again believers, we're not perfect people. There's always something that's going to be that we got to work on to come up to be more like Christ. And so for me in this particular area right now, it's looking at people and just assuming that I know. I don't know. I don't know. And I shouldn't make comments if I don't know. But, I had somebody one time show me a picture that she took of somebody, and I was like, and I thought about that, and I was like, we should be better than that. We, as God's children, should be better than that. Where is the compassion? Where is the love? Okay, I'm off my box. But anyway, I'm dealing with me. I want to be able to meet people where they are and not automatically assume anything about them because I don't know where they've been. Another quick story, and I'm getting off of here. I'm a forensics girl. I don't know why. I guess I should have been a detective. But I like to watch those shows because I don't know, I just enjoy them. I used to watch Criminal Minds and I kind of got convicted about that, so I stopped watching it. I don't know. I used to watch it every day. I mean, binge watch Criminal Minds. And so I stopped. So now and again, I'll watch a crime show, or a documentary on something that had happened. And this one guy, it was The Confession of a Serial Killer. When he was growing up, he grew up in a home that was demonic, to say the least. That his father was very mean. His wife was just a tool or an instrument for him to use, and that's the way he treated her. He was the one that broke in his daughters, and you know what I mean. And then mom was the one that broke in her sons. So this young man grew up in that environment. And as he began to get older, he started like killing animals and doing things. What he was doing was acting out his anger. And then, he got pleasure out of watching things die. He got pleasure out of having the control of killing something and him having control over it. Well, as time went on, he started killing people. And he said he didn't feel like he was satisfied until he was able to kill somebody. And basically what was happening was he was killing his mother over and over and over and over again. Where did that come from? With him growing up. Now, I'm not saying everybody has negative traumatizing situations that have happened to them when they were growing up that causes them to act out now. Because like I said, there's nothing, traumatizing about me getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning and cleaning, and I still enjoy cleaning. That's a good thing. So there's some good things that happened when you were kids that have come into your adult life that is beneficial. But then there's other things that have happened to you as a young child, a young adult, that also plays a part in the things the way that we live today. So we just want to be mindful. And basically my message today, just kind of get in the mirror. Get in the mirror. Although I know that a lot of people won't, because it's easier to hear this in the moment, but then you walk away from it and, you don't give it a second thought. Like I would tell my kids when they were growing up, and I said, well, when you're inside the house, you hear my voice the loudest, but the minute you get outside, not so loud. Get to the end of the driveway, my voice is softer. You get down to the end of the block, you don't even hear me anymore. At that point, I got to trust what I put in you. So I trust that you got something out of today's video. Again, please give it a thumbs up. The goal is to get more subscribers, because I have another topic that, we don't understand how what we say and what we do sometimes can change the trajectory of somebody else's life. And I believe that that's what this channel is all about. But if we, just kind of keep it to ourselves, just like, the word, when you get a good word, you don't want to keep it to yourself. You want to give that good news out. And, what I'm saying may not necessarily pertain to you, but it might pertain to somebody else. So if you like the video, you share the video, then other people have an opportunity to watch the video. So until next time, and I'll be back sooner because I've got 2 more things I need to talk about. And, but this one was pressing on me and I needed to get here today again before I went to work. So I love you guys. Until next time, be blessed.